hear us out there? Melody, we'll call on you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you pretty good.
Can you talk to us so we can,
Katrina, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can't hear them. She just came up.
Did you hear me?
Katrina, can you try again?
Want to adjourn? Oh, we can't.
No, can you try to say something?
Yeah, I think the goal was played out. About 30-second pause.
Frustrated, but it wasn't. We tried to actually move it so she'd be here, but
I don't think that's on. This is all connected to staff.
they were willing to go with this.
Hey, Katrina, can you try again, please?
Can you hear me?
They
Can
they
you
may
hear
not
me?
be able to hear us.
Sure. Hey, Katrina, can you please try again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for your help.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's why there's hardly anything on it. All right. So we can hear folks out there too, Macy?
Yes.
All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone to the February 20th Board of Trustees regular meeting. It is 7:04 and go ahead and take the roll if you would.
Mayor Billy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mahone,
Here.
Trustee Corvalon, okay, I don't see Trustee Corvalon online, but we'll note for the record that she'll be joining us virtually this evening. Trustee Coombs Ismail,
Here.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Severs,
Here.
and then we'll note for the record that Trustee Sterling is absent this evening.
Thanks, Macy. Appreciate that. With that, we'll go right into our consent agenda. We have 3 items on tonight: warrants, minutes from the last February 6th meeting, and then a broadband MOU with Gilpin and Clear Creek County. Do we have any clarifying questions on those? Does anyone, I actually have a couple quick ones on the MOU. Does anyone else have any?
So far, no.
Okay. Miranda, it just said, and under operations, it says the P2P, RB, PGs, board of directors will have a time. It's talking about location. It says insert addresses. How is that going to be decided? I'm just curious.
Can you clarify which?
Oh, operations C. So page, sorry. I should have gotten you the page. It's actually in the MOU on page.
Yeah, so currently that it's kind of, the location is decided as needed during the regular meeting. So we currently meet weekly and we meet virtually. So we're currently not meeting to do in person, but if we were meeting to do in person, we would have to just establish that at the time.
Okay, so yeah, it's just kind of, yeah, the way I read it was like, it was supposed to be like the office or something of this effort.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a centralized office because we're obviously in different locations. So that would just be determined on an as needed basis.
Okay, cool. And then under governance, I think I figured this out, but on qualifications. So it basically says directors can't be elected or appointed. Appointed officials aren't employees. Or I got confused with the employees is used twice. So it's just basically you as an employee of town and the other two representatives, employees of Gilpin as employees of Clear Creek County
Correct.
are the only kind of employees only could be on this. No.
Yeah, and the only reason we did that is just obviously we're the ones who are working on broadband day in and day out, and our elected officials are not. And so the concern is just kind of how quickly broadband is moving. We really need to make sure it's the dedicated staff members who are working on it to make sure we're not missing respective deadlines.
That makes sense. And then my last question, the only people missing are Boulder County, with regards to unincorporated Boulder County, like how are we able to serve or represent them?
So we have yet to receive a contact from them or a
Okay.
person. And so right now we kind of just keep Commissioner Levy in the loop on what we're doing, and she's provided support, but we don't have a staff member at this time.
Okay. Those are my questions. Any other clarifying questions on the 3 consent agenda items?
No.
If not, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Macy?
Mayor Pro Tem Mahol,
Yes.
Trustee Coombs Ismail,
Yes.
Trustee Severs,
Yes.
Mayor Billy,
Yes.
Trustee Corvalon, are you with us? Don't see her yet. Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll go into staff reports. We have staff reports and BOT reports in the packet. Any clarifying questions or comments for these reports?
Clarifying, or I don't know if it's a comment or a question, but a lot of people aren't doing them or on our team, taking the time to write them up.
Actually put much in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, did see that.
Comment. Tom said he didn't achieve much and then listed 20 items that he got done. So maybe
I should go to
a little
you.
misleading there.
I'll go on vacation again.
Also, I wanted to just compliment the staff reports and say thanks for the good work and the good reporting. And I appreciate how, your reports are reflective of our strategic goals. So it's really nice to see that.
Yes.
I especially appreciate the sheriff's office reports. It's really good to get full disclosure again, see what happened and what's on the docket and get an idea for what's going on. It's really helpful for me. Tell them thanks.
Yes. Thanks, Peter, for your social media strategy. That was interesting to read through. If there are no other comments or questions from the BOT or town staff, we'll go ahead to the first informational item. Macy.
So the first informational item, the only informational item this evening is the update on the regular municipal election. So election day is April 2nd. The only updates that I have since the last time we met is that at the last meeting, we prepared the drawing of lots. So we got the order of how the names will be listed on the ballots. And then there was an advisory ballot question approved to put on the ballot. So those are really my only updates since the last time we talked about the election. Does anybody have any questions?
I've got a few.
Okay.
And I'll just give them the questions now. You can take them in the order you want. Do we have all of our election judges? How many are there? When do ballots go out? I think military ones went out today, right?
Yeah.
And roughly how many bad addresses do we have out of 1,200?
Well, so yes, UACAVA ballots went out today. The rest of the ballots can begin to be mailed on March 11th. I cannot say how many addresses are incorrect at this time. I would urge people to check their voter registration status and make sure that their mailing address is updated.
Yeah.
And that they are registered as a voter in the town of Nederland with a Nederland address.
Good.
So now's the time to do all that. You can do all of that though up until including on election day. so there's time, but please make sure that your voter registration is updated. Your
gonna-
last question.
I'll write a letter to the editor because I think it's really important. People that signed my petition that thought they were registered aren't.
Yeah.
And it was disallowed. They'll never get a ballot and it'll slip right past.
Mhm.
And then, okay, so on election judges,
Oh, yes.
you've
We
got
have
all you need.
4
Okay.
secured.
Good.
They've all participated in municipal elections for Nederland in the past. 3 of which I've worked with personally, with 3 prior elections. Yeah.
Good. So we're
Excited.
good to go.
Already.
Any other questions for Macy? Thanks, Macy.
Thank you.
So we have 2 action items tonight. The first one is the Teens Inc. SRU application. And then the second one is the STR regulatory fee ordinance. So without further ado, go Miranda.
Yes. So tonight before you is a consideration of a special review use application related to a childcare facility at 750 West Fifth Street. Tonight, Stephen LaFavor, who is the Executive Director of Teens Inc., will present the official request, which is consideration of an SRU agreement that would allow Teens Inc. to lease the town-owned property at 750 West Fifth Street to construct a child care facility. Just a reminder that recently under Ordinance 854, the Board of Trustees passed that on December 5th, which allowed private elementary and secondary schools, state licensed group homes, for developmentally disabled childcare centers as allowable under SRU on public lots. And that went into effect January 7th. It's really important to note here that approval of this SRU agreement does not, at this property, does not allow Teens Inc. to conduct a child care facility, or it doesn't give them the ownership of the property. It just allows Teens Inc. to operate on that property under a ground lease, and there's a sample one in your packet. So specifically, they are looking to obtain or lease 750 West Fifth Street, which is a little over 20,000 square feet. However, Teens Inc. does have a request to vacate Fifth Street, which is the street to the north of the property. That's not technically kind of a part of this review. There would be additional conversations as that lease agreement and then, of course, building permitting. But their current design that they will show you does have that in consideration, is that they are building into Fifth Street in that design that's in your packet. There's been a lot of questions about the Old Town Shop site because this is where our public works facility used to be. And so there were concerns about the need for remediation. The town completed both a phase 1 and phase 2 remediation assessment and determined that there was no need for remediation here. There was note about a possible water leak, although we also had that looked into, and that was also determined that there was no leak. However, a community member did ask us to run the report by CDPHE, who does evaluate land, especially potentially former brownfields for childcare facilities, and they also determined that it would be appropriate to construct childcare here. However, a recent community member also reached out to the EPA and requested that they take a look at the evaluation or the phase 1 and 2 assessments. I sent those on, and they didn't have concerns with the assessments that were done. They actually said they were appropriate. However, did encourage additional testing. They do that for free, and so I did sign up to have the EPA do a soil sample. And the reason they think that there's value is with Wolf Tub Mill being so close, it's possible that there could be contaminants that moved around. And so once I receive approval from them, they'll come out and do that soils assessment. You'll see in the packet, again, there's a 1-story structure with a 2nd story on roughly kind of half the building. We're looking at 26 feet 9 inches as the maximum height. There is no yard and bulk though in public, and so that means the full footprint could be maximized. However, you are seeing that the site plan does accommodate for some setbacks and then of course the parking and other landscaping. So tonight before you, when you're looking at a special review use, you really need to be mindful of these evaluating criteria that I have in the analysis section of the AIM, and I'm just going to read through each one. What is here is staff's assessment as it relates to these evaluating criteria, but this is what you should be discussing when the time is appropriate. So first they're eligible under special review use in section 1632 with the use group. And so yes, this application does fall under needing an SRU in the recently passed ordinance 854. Is it generally compatible with the adjacent land uses? So it's important to note that the proposed childcare would be surrounded by medium density residential on the northeast and west sides. To the south is the fire department. And there are no other non-residential businesses in the immediate area. However, the site did used to serve as the Old Town Shop site. And across the street, across the highway is Not a Root Brewing Company. And it used to be the site of the Little Bear Preschool and is now where the Little Bear duplexes are located. I think it's important to identify that because even though there are no non-residential uses in this neighborhood, it doesn't entirely mean that childcare centers are entirely incompatible with the uses. You do see that schools are often permitted under special review use in many residential neighborhoods. The best example being the elementary school is located in a residential neighborhood. However, I think this is one of the areas that the Board of Trustees should discuss in further detail is really kind of your evaluation of this criteria number 2. For 3, meets all requirements of section 1652 and is in compliance with this chapter and minimizes potential adverse impacts of the special review use on adjacent properties and traffic flow. The site plan does include all of the elements of 1652, and it does speak to the potential adverse impacts and traffic flow in the narrative. Is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Teens identified a series of kind of bullet points on how their plan matches the comprehensive plan as well as Envision 2030. For number 5, the town has the capacity to serve the proposed uses with water, sewer, fire, and police services. Water and sewer, we do have utilities in this area, so we can serve it. The fire protection district did ask that an additional hydrant be installed so that there's a full looping system. Teens confirmed that they understand this requirement and will comply. We also talked to the fire department about vacating 5th Streets and if they had any concerns about their fire engines being able to turn around. And the proposal was designed in such a way that the fire department does not have concerns. Boulder County Sheriff's Office doesn't have concerns. And we did also talk to Streets and Parks just to get a full public works evaluation. The Streets Department originally had concerns about plowing, but ultimately determined after seeing the design that they feel that they can handle it from a maintenance standpoint. And the Parks Department also supports the development of the trail that's being proposed on the north side. So again, those are the evaluating criteria that you need to discuss when the time is appropriate. You can consider approving this application with conditions. However, the conditions do need to be tied to the kind of criteria for approval. And those things could be such as limiting the hours of operation or days of operation, directing traffic and speed limits for drop off and pickup, downcast lighting, use of parking, and planting to mitigate noise. You've received a ton of community feedback that's in your packet. Teens Inc. did come to you before they submitted their official SRU, so there's also feedback then, but you're continuing to receive it, I think, up until just the start of this meeting. From a town staff perspective, we really feel like it's important to develop this land, and we definitely understand that there's 2 kind of uses that are currently being discussed. There is Teens Inc. childcare and there's housing. I think as town staff, we feel that we're doing enough headway with housing on other land that will come before you for a proposal that we do support childcare being developed at this site, and we'll continue to work on housing on other designated locations through both potentially town-owned land, and again, those proposals would come to you, as well as public-private partnerships. The Planning Commission held their hearing last month on January 24th and ultimately recommended approval with conditions that Teens Inc. outlined the traffic flow, hours of operation for drop off and pickup, and the screening of the facility in their narrative, which they've done. All commissioners except for one voted for the proposal, and the one who did not really felt that there was a need to adhere to the resolution from 2017 that was designating the site for housing. So that's really it for staff. I mean, ultimately the question before you is, do you approve this SRU application? You have the options to approve as presented, to approve with conditions, or to deny. There is an ordinance that is tied to that SRU. And so if you are looking to make a motion, we do have proposed motions in the AIM with that ordinance 859. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, Stephen LaFavor is ready to review on his end.
I have one question. Could you turn on YouTube?
It is on.
Oh, it is not? Okay, shoot.
Yeah, we're streaming.
Okay. I have no questions for you. Anyone else?
No, I look forward to hearing what Stephen has to say.
Okay, Stephen, when you're ready, come on up to the podium and make sure the tall black microphone, the little green LED light is on.
All right. I'm Stephen LaFavor. I'm Executive Director of Teens Inc. to talk to you about everything that Miranda just brought up. It's not new. You've heard this is the third time I've been here. I've also been to the Planning Commission twice. You've seen the information. We appreciate the Planning Commission's approval and the concerns that they brought up or the information that they asked for. We included in the SRU document for you. I thought I'd touch on a few things that I've seen or we've heard about, and then address any concerns or questions you may have. Just for context, Teens Inc. has been a nonprofit organization for 25 years here in Nederland. We run 2 high school programs, employ over 120 teens a year throughout the Front Range, open every day after school for free, run outdoor leadership programs for teens 6th grade and up. All of our programs are heavily subsidized or free. So we have a long history of finding funds to support programs at that level. Just want to state that this proposal is not, early childhood education is not a parent problem. This is a community health issue involving workforce development, people being able to go to work. It's a small business issue for people, for employers being able to retain employees. It's an issue that impacts our enrollment in schools. And it's a mental health and wellness issue for families and children. In addition to the care for children, relief for families, and employment opportunities for current caregivers, this project will provide 15 to 20 jobs at any given time and provide job training opportunities for young people in the community. As you know, and you've heard from all the letters, the families are the lifeblood to community. And currently, Nederland area is not a sustainable place for families.